Hello, my name is Don Jose Ruiz, and I'm so grateful to be here with everybody, especially with the family. Why? Because we have a beautiful gift to share. The journey that we all have gone through, the experiences that we all have gone through, and the life that we let go, inspired by the Four Agreements, the Mastery of Love, the Voice of Knowledge, and all the other beautiful books of transformation that were shared with all the world by my father. But before that, there were the Toltec teachings, the teachings from the family, the teachings from, the source of life, the infinite. When we know that everything is a dream, that everything that we believe in this world is not as it seems to be. Why? Because in this world, people don't know how to love. They know how to manipulate. They know how to invade someone else's mind and rule them by fear. And then we begin being born in this world that, we're following someone else's dream until we begin having so much heartbreak until we say that is enough. And it doesn't matter where we're born, what religion we're at, what race we are, what gender we're at. Suffering comes to all of us. Why? Because we live in the addiction of suffering. We live in the world where everybody is sleeping. And there comes humans that look into their within, that took a path of transformation, that led them to a path for their authenticity. And why a path to authenticity? It's like climbing a pyramid, and that's a path. Every step that one begins taking up the steps is like they're letting something go and letting something go. So when I begin letting things go, I really begin noticing, well, my belief system. I didn't get to choose what my belief system was. I begin hanging out with crowds, hanging out, speaking a language called Spanish. And, that is the world that I know. And there's other worlds that, they don't speak Spanish. They live into other ways of life, religions, and, whatever it is. But one day I begin really being hard on myself because I wanted to fit in. Because I felt like there was something wrong with me because I was like everybody else. Because I was born with open heart, but there was something missing. The addiction of suffering chip has been programmed in my head. And I remember when I was around 7, 8, 10 years old, I began witnessing my elders, how they live. And even the older kids who are 20, they just want to grow up fast, having dramas, getting married, and even, in a relationship, it's a relationship of lies. Why? Because, they go into a relationship of lies. They hurt one another, they hurt themselves. They go to therapists and they go to find themselves, but they never find themselves because they are worshiping the God of fear. And they're worshiping it not with respect, they're worshiping it with disrespect, which means they don't respect themselves. It took me a long time to respect myself, to be authentic, because I used to hurt myself with my fear, paralyzing myself. And then I began witnessing everybody living the same dream. I didn't want to put attention to my grandmother or father's teaching because for me it's like going to Sunday school, Sunday church. I wanted to hang with the kids. And then I discovered the peer pressure. I began living a dream that wasn't me, that I thought that I was supposed to be accepted in life. But what I discovered was that I died. When what died? My open heart. I began having the addiction of suffering in my system. Now my belief was clouded. I was just reacting without thinking. And that was the message I was giving to everybody else. So when I began going to my father's teaching, then I said, well, I'm not the only one. There's many people. And I see many people with different masks on, pretending to be what they're not supposed to be. And all I wanted to be was myself. But I still wanted to get validation, wanted to please, And then one thing led to another. And then I see my father one day in Santa Fe, New Mexico, entering a ceremony of fire and saying, the sacred fire is a gift from the sun. It gave us life, but at the same time, it let us that we can disintegrate anything we want in life. And Jose, your belief system, it is like you invited a parasite to live inside your mind. And that's not the real you. Tell that parasite to let my son free. And he walked away. I didn't understand what he meant. What my parasite? Because in that time, I had no realization that I was a parasite. I was giving, my excuses that it wasn't me, so I don't take responsibility. But after taking a course years after called Dreaming, I remember that I had the opportunity to be in the last 3 months of the first year dreaming with my father because, I married to somebody and she was taking the dreaming course. So, I wanted to be with her. And at the same time, I'm grateful for that relationship because it led me back to my roots. Now I was beginning to be in a room where I wasn't the only apprentice that's been there for years because somebody asked my father to teach dreaming and he didn't want to. He said, I don't want to. And he said, well, if you collect 50 people, I will. And he was, he was skeptical about that. So the person who asked my father to teach dreaming got 80 people and he was inspired and surprised. So he began teaching that. And I was so grateful that I caught the end of the training because that was the beginning of my life. Because before that, I was getting in problems in my city of Tijuana. Well, when I entered dreaming, I got to rediscover my mind, that I know that everything is a dream, that if I like my dream, I can change it or not. I began working on myself and began letting go. There was still a lot to work on, but it led me to this path of authenticity because in those days I wanted to pretend. What is the perfect apprentice? What's the perfect teacher and all that? Then I rediscovered, that the one who pretends, it prepares itself to give a speech. And then my father teach me to always speak from the heart. And I say, why, Father? It's because when you speak from the heart, you will always be prepared anytime, in any situation. You don't have to go into the bathroom and write a speech because you don't have the time to do that. You have to right away not focus on the thinking mind, but it is the heart that's going to come out of you that will guide you. And in that moment, I discovered that it's the narwhal energy that is intent. So in that moment, dreaming really opened a whole world of awareness for me. That I was aware that I was living a life that I didn't want to live anymore, that it was a ghost town. And it was the gift from my father. Because at the end of the day, we begin learning from ourselves. We begin learning from our experiences when we really want to let go of that addiction of suffering. And it takes a lot of guts to be honest. But once you're strong to be honest with yourself, you discovered your parasite. And this is one thing that my father really teach me. He introduced me to my parasite. Because in the Toltec tradition, there's nothing to learn but to unlearn. Unlearn how we go against ourselves. And in my belief system, my mastery was to go against Jose. And that's one manipulation that I saw everywhere. So then I can see the whole world manipulating themselves so they can manipulate the other people. And this is the blind, leading the blind. And I don't mean with no sight. I mean with no heart at all. People are cruel. People are cold. People are disrespectful. And you know what? This is the addiction of suffering. So to understand this world is about surrendering, but taking the action. And the path of transformation is about taking the action. So dreaming was a beautiful teaching, but it was more than dreaming. It wasn't a course. It was my father's heart of gold that really teach me when he came out of the heart attack and he survived a 9-week coma and he learned how to be himself. He really teach me the importance of golden time. Golden time to appreciate all your loved ones, but also appreciate yourself before you go away from this earth. So when we were talking to my father earlier this month, well, a few months ago, I said the importance it is that this star is still on this earth. This star is still shining. And there's so many people like I am and like I was ready to receive this light, and we're in golden time. So I'm so grateful that you have accepted this invitation of this training from my father. Why? Because you're giving yourself the most beautiful gift. And I'm so happy to tell you that you're ready to take the path of authenticity back home.